Hi everyone, welcome to RPA Explorers channel.
In today's video, we are going to look about sheet methods from an Excel connector. So let's see how you can use all these methods. So first step is to add your Excel connector. Go to your global objects, right click on this and add connector. So you can add your connector by just enabling this. Already added mine, which is Microsoft Excel. So double click on the connector to view its method. So you can see all its method. And we are going to concentrate on sheet. So just filter with sheet, and currently we have 7 method. In order to use any Excel method, the first step is to use the open method to open your Excel, which I have already added here. So I'm using open method wherein I have provided my file path. So let's see the sample Excel now, which is add cube. Currently I have only one sheet, which is sheet 1, and also we'll add more sheets to explore the method. So I'm going to click on this plus. So let's randomly add 6 sheets and we'll rename few sheets. We will call it as data, arrange something. I have now 5 sheets. So let's add some data as well. So randomly we'll copy some data and we'll put in all the rows. Okay. We have 5 different sheets. So let's close the Excel. So first let's just run this to see whether the Excel is opened or not. I'm going to click on this and run from here. And now my Excel is open. And now let's get started with the first method, which is add new worksheet. So let's drag and drop this. So as the method says, it just add a new sheet into the given Excel. So I'm going to give the sheet name. Let's see that I'm going to give the sheet name as new sheet. Also, whenever you open your Excel, make sure you close it at the end, and also I'm going to use the close method. So you just have to drag and drop this. And now let's run the process. Okay, so this is completed. So, and now we have the new sheet which is added after all the sheets. And let's see the next method, which is delete worksheet. So we'll just drag and drop the delete worksheet and we are going to do this, and here you have to provide your sheet name. So now let's try to delete the sheet which we created right now. Okay, so now let's run from here. Okay, now let me open the Excel. So if you see, the sheet is not existing now, which got deleted. So one thing, we'll try to add an existing sheet and try to delete it. For example, we'll try to re-add the existing sheet, which is data, and we'll try to delete it. So I'm going to change the sheet name to data. I'll pass it over here. So first it have to add the sheet, and after adding it, I'm going to delete it. Then we'll close Excel. So let's clear it and run the process. So if you see, we have an error. This sheet already exists with the same name, data. So whenever you add new sheet, make sure that you are not adding any existing sheet. So and now let's click on OK. And before you add your sheet, make sure that you are using the get sheet name. So let's drag and drop this. I'm just going to pass it over here. For example, you are trying to add new worksheet which might be existing or which might not be. So in order to confirm before you add your worksheet, you have to use this method, which is get sheet names, which gives you all the sheet names from the Excel. So let's see how do we use this. So I'm just going to drag and drop this, and as you see, it gives us the output in the form of array of string. So now to display this, we have to take a for loop. So let me take a for loop, and I'm going to use for each. Let's pass this array to the collection input, and then we'll try to display the output, for which I'm going to use the show. So now let's run the process, and also at the end I'm going to close it in the output now. Sheet 1, sheet 3 and data range sheet 160. So it has given all the sheets from the Excel. Before you add your new worksheet, make sure getting all the sheet names from the Excel, and then you are comparing with the sheet name you want to add. So based on that, you can make a decision. For example, let's use some string utilities component called contains. So let's drag and drop this. Text to search would be data, so in which I'm going to give data, I'm validating if the data sheet which is already existing in the Excel or not. So let's pass it over here, and the current object should be a text. So if it is that, which will give us the output of boolean type. So let's drag and drop a decision activity to make a decision. So let's provide any meaningful string. So let's see that let string exists. So as soon as you click on enter, you see an internal parameter. So I'm just going to give the control import. Based on my decision, I'm going to add my sheet. So let's take my add new worksheet and let's add it over here. So let's provide the sheet name, which is data. So for the very first time, sheet 1 will be compared with data, which will give us the false value. So if the decision is false, it will try to add a new worksheet. And based on our decision, we are going to proceed with add worksheet method. For the very first time, sheet 1 will be compared with data and the value would be false. And then sheet 3 will be compared, and once the data will be compared to data, the value will become true. Whenever the value gets true, I am going to break my loop. So I am going to toolbox and use the break method. So let's take a break. So whenever the value is true, I am just breaking it. After processing all the record, bot will be going to the end port of the for loop, which is the control output, where I am again making a decision. So let's add a decision activity to compare whether we have the true value or the false value. If in case we have a true value, we will not be adding a new worksheet. So if in case we have a false value, then we have to add it. Keep in mind that this break will be executed only when the value is true. Okay, so I'm going to add the condition over here, and here the text needs to be compared is true. So we are going to check whether true is equals to true or not. And now we have to check what is the value of this boolean when it gets breaked or when it gets completed. So there are two different possibilities. Maybe on the very first sheet itself, we might have the comparison value as true, or the comparison value might be false even after comparing all the sheets. So that is the reason we have an additional validation here. So as soon as it hits the break, we are validating whether the value is true. If the comparison is false for all the sheets in the Excel, then for sure we are going to add a new sheet, and hence we have a decision here. So I'm just going to add this like is value true. So if it is true, we are not going to add it. If it is true, we can directly close the Excel. If it is not true, we are going to add a worksheet, for which we'll use the add worksheet method. And at the end, we have to close the Excel. So I'm just going with this. So currently we are comparing the data sheet. So let's go ahead and run the process. So let's see the value of this, which is true. When the data sheet gets compared, the value becomes true. As it is true, we are not adding it. So let's compare some different sheet. For example, let's go ahead and compare data 1. So let's try to run the process now. And okay, sorry, we forgot to provide the sheet name. So let's provide the sheet name as data 1. So it is always better to use some variable for your comparison or the text to be searched. So in that way, you can declare the value once and you can use it as variable in any of the components. So just close this and run from here. And if you see, the comparison value would be false because we don't have any sheet existing in that, and hence the value becomes false. So let's also see the value here. So the decision true, which is obviously false. So it come here, it might add a new sheet, and it is trying to close the, and now the execution is completed. Let's see the Excel. And if you see, we have the sheet name which is called data 1. So in that way, you can compare the existing sheet and then you can add your actual sheet. This is how you can add your new sheet after validating the existing sheets in the Excel. So let's take a look at the next method, which is get active sheet name. The active sheet name is the sheet which opened by default when you open your Excel. So for example, when I open my Excel, now currently data 1 is displayed. So this is the active sheet on the Excel. You can also keep the different sheet as your active worksheet by using this set active worksheet. There might be a scenario in which you want to keep some sheet as active, then you want to set some color or set some formula. So in that case, you can go with this active worksheets method. So now I'm going to use get active worksheet name, use this method and run the process now. And now the execution is completed. Let's see the result. And now if you see the data one, so now we'll change the active worksheet and we'll try to rerun the process. Use sheet name as range and I'll save and close Excel. Okay, and we'll try to rerun the process. So this is completed. Let's preview the data. So it is range. So after you get your worksheet, you can do the respective action you want. And also let's parallel look at the other active method, which is set active. With the help of this method, you can set any worksheet as active. So I'm going to sheet 3 as active. So let's keep sheet 3 and let's pass it over here. And also the output of this type is boolean, so you can check whether the sheet is set active or not, and also we can make a decision accordingly. Let's run the process. So this is completed. Let's look at its value, which is true. So now let's open the output, and if you see, we have sheet 3 which is set as active worksheet. So after you set some sheet as active, you can filter with some cell or get, wherein you can set some cell color, set cell value, or you can do something based on this method, which is read from sheet and rename a sheet name. So as the name suggests, it can be used to rename your sheet name. So wherein you have to provide your old sheet name. So I'll give the old sheet name is sheet 1 and my new sheet name would be let's say new sheet only. Okay. And also before you use any of the old sheet or existing sheet, make sure you get your sheet names and you make a decision. Then you can go with this method. In that way you can avoid any errors. So I'm going to run this. So this is completed. Let's see the value, which should be true. So it is true now, and let's have a look at the output. And you can see that sheet 1 is renamed to new sheet now. So this is how you can make use of this method. And the next, which is read from sheet, so wherein you have to provide your sheet name, which is sheet 1. So you can give any sheet, will give us the output as a data table, which you can pass it using for each loop or any collection method. You can use this method wherein you have to open your Excel, you have to use read from sheet providing your sheet name, and you have to use your for loop column values based on index. So this is about this read from sheet. So we have explored all the sheets method from Excel connector. I hope you all find this video useful. In case you want any specific connector or component to be discussed, please let me know in the comment section. I'll try to create a separate video on that. And also thank you so much for watching this video till the end.